Hello, Fran. How's it going?
Well, like half an hour ago, pretty well. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just you know, today you're gonna be the leading voice in this in the topic of this episode of our podcast. Um, let's leave this as a teaser and let's go with our intro. Okay?
Let's get some music.
Okay, come on. Well, guys, as I said before, today Frank is gonna have the leading voice in this podcast, in this program, because we're gonna get out of our not comfort zone, but our space. Why? What do I mean about that? I mean that Francisco has a wonderful tour doing the Portuguese, part of the Portuguese Camino de Santiago. Portugal is our neighbor country that we share land with, is the Iberian Peninsula. And well, he has a tour starting in Oporto, visiting the surroundings and ending in Santiago de Compostela. Obviously, if it is a Camino, Santiago has to be the end. But in this case, we're going to talk about Oporto and surroundings and the things that you have to do in Oporto. Well, Francisco, tell us about Porto, please.
Okay, so Porto, one of the most beautiful and vibrant cities in Portugal. The
That's
second
right.
largest one, right after Lisbon. It is a little bit over 1 million people, although it doesn't feel like, because it feels like a village. It feels like very homey. It feels, I don't know, it's a vibrancy. The people are super happy. It's a city I adore.
Hmm.
The city of Porto, by the way, on this podcast, you have already heard Jorge saying it, and you're going to hear me saying it. We don't, in Spain, we don't say Porto, like the Portuguese or in English. We say it the Spanish way, which is Oporto. People from Portugal, they hate when we say Oporto, but it just comes out of our mouth, okay? Because it's like, in Spanish, we say Oporto. So if you hear
Yeah,
Oporto instead of Porto,
yeah,
please, we're talking about the same city.
yeah, true.
So,
So,
Porto.
well, Francisco, how can people get to Oporto? What's the connections to get there if they want to join your tour?
So Porto is very easy. The best way, if you're coming from America, is to reach Lisbon.
Hmm.
And from Lisbon, you can get on a train. There's many lines, many ways to go from Lisbon to Porto.
Hmm.
Okay,
There's also flights connecting Lisbon with
there we
Porto,
go.
right? It's a very short
There we
flight.
go. You have so nothing is like woo. One of those that okay, we're taking off. Okay, it's like please buckle up. We're taking off. Please buckle up again. We're taking down. So it's like yeah, it's one of those tiny little flights, but it's super convenient. Right? So
And,
if
and,
you're
al- and
flying,
also and also is connected with many European cities, Porto, right?
there we go. So if somebody is coming from the east, from Europe, there's a lot of flights flying directly into Porto. So if from America you're going to a lot of people jumps all the way to Charles de Gaulle in Paris, and from there you can come to Porto
Or
directly.
Charles de Gaulle, London, Munich,
London, Heathrow, yeah,
Roma, Rome, even
Rome.
Madrid in
Yeah.
Spain, even Madrid. Yeah. Hmm.
So
Good. Okay then.
it's quite a easy place to start a tour because really it's
Hmm.
very easy.
And what do you do
So
in Porto? Come on, tell us.
okay, before we start with Porto, let me tell you something about the name.
Okay, of
Porto,
course.
it's the city of Porto is a Roman city, like many of the cities, and it's in the Douro River. It's in the water mouth, ocean mouth of the Douro River, and it is an. We have to understand that the Atlantic coast, it is a very rough sea.
Mm.
So the ports they were a little bit inland, right, protected by the big winds and the big storms in the ocean. So Porto, it is right inside from the coast,
Hmm.
protected by a valley. And this valley has the city of Porto has two different neighborhoods, Porto and Gaia.
Hmm. That's right. Yeah.
And in the middle, you have the Douro River. Porto and Gaia, if you put the two words together, Portugal. It's the two neighborhoods getting together, right? So the
And
name of
that's
Portugal.
that makes like a kind of distortion to make that makes Portugal, Porto
There we go.
and Gallia, right?
Oporto and Gallia, exactly.
Hmm.
So the city, it's easy to reach. It's manageable. It's a city. Yes, you want to be located in the city center. Of course, you have to. And the city of Porto has many things you need to see and to do. Right? First of all, the Ribeira district. It's the Ribeira. It's by the river. It is that beautiful promenade, lively. You have bars. You have terraces.
Restaurant,
You can sit in
yeah,
restaurant. I
beautiful.
mean,
Yeah.
what is not to love about that leisure feeling and that outside living that I think it's so appreciated here in Europe. We love to live outside. We love to live in the streets, to live, and the the Rivera, the promenade, and then all the neighborhood going up the hill, those narrow alleys, narrow streets. It's so beautiful, so romantic. It's to me, I don't know if you agree with me, Jorge, but it is one of those neighborhoods that I always tell my people get lost.
Yeah,
Go get
absolutely.
lost.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
it is easy to get lost, but don't be afraid. You start going down, and you're going to find the river, and you're going to locate yourself. So you're
Yeah.
not going to go far. You're
All,
not
all,
going to get
all you have to do is you get lost, just go down the hills at any of the hills, and you end up in by the riverbanks.
you up on the river. So it's impossible to really, really, really get lost. But
Yeah.
the pleasure of getting lost in this neighborhood, which is so beautiful. You still see the little pots with flowers on the facade, the little cats going. I mean, I would say it's all you expect of Europe and even more. it's it's so cute, so cute, so cute. Once you go to the Ribera, to the promenade by the river, walking up and down, and to me, I would always say to people, yes, all of those, many of those prices are overpriced, but it's worth paying for one glass of wine. How much are they going
Hey,
to charge
I
you?
mean, if you
Five
are,
euros?
yeah, if you are in a spot that is kind of, I would say, Pinterest or whatever, doesn't matter where you go in the world, you have to pay for that. Okay.
And it's not going to be a ruin. You're not
No,
going
no, no.
to,
You're not gonna
it's
go
going to,
broke.
yes, it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be 5 euros for a beer.
Yeah.
Big deal. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, bring it. I'll have one, I'll have two. But you see the boats coming in, the boats coming out, you see the people. It's the vibrancy of that
Mm.
area. It's incredible. When you are down there, the big symbol of the city is going to be right on your left. You're going to have the Dom Luís Bridge, right? The big, big, big bridge that was designed, a lot of people says by Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower. It was a disciple of,
Of him. Yeah.
and it's a double decker, and you can cross it. Crossing it on sunset, you are going to have some of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful views. I don't want to say in Porto. I would say in the world. I mean, that valley, the sun setting on at the end, it's like, oh, come
Well,
on. And
Francisco, correct me if I'm wrong. I've been to Portugal many times, and one of my favorite pastimes when I'm in Portugal is precisely what you said, just to go and see the sunset if the day is clear. You just mentioned that the ocean is rough up there, and it's very much like I mean. Even in winter, you can have a spectacular day, but even in summer, you can have the worst of the days, with
yeah,
overcast and everything. So it's a little bit of the lucky factor works here a lot. But one of my favorite pastimes is that when I go to that double-decker bridge that you're mentioning, I mean, you can cross it by car in the lower part, just by the
mhm,
almost by the water, and also on foot there to go to the other neighborhood at the other side. But the upper side is only for the underground system that obviously goes over the bridge at that point
mhm.
because there is not a tunnel, but you can also cross it on foot. So you are very high, and if you look to the water, to the ocean, I better say, to the mouth of the river, you are absolutely looking to the west. So I mean, doesn't matter if you are at the beginning, middle, of the end of the bridge, you're gonna see the sun setting either depends if it's winter, it's gonna be a little bit more southernmost, and if it's summer, northernmost. But the sunsets there are spectacular. Oh, it's
It is.
beautiful,
It is
beautiful.
beautiful, romantic. It's and you were saying about the public transportation, this like a metro.
Yeah,
It even brings that some charm. You know, you're
yeah,
there watching and you have the
true.
metro passing behind you. It's
Yeah,
beautiful sound, of the train.
yeah,
I love crossing on the upper decker
yeah,
of that bridge. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
yeah.
What else do you
Yeah,
have
what
to
else?
see?
What else? Come on.
What else to see in Porto? Well, one of the big things is the San Vento Railroad Station.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you say
Okay,
about it. I know the San Bento train station. It's beautiful.
the the thing in Portugal, any corner of Portugal is beautiful, and especially the tiles are beautiful. Here we're Spanish, and we always talk about Spanish tiles, and when you go to the Alhambra and all the back and forth Spanish tiles. But the thing, what happens is that Spain and Portugal, we share so much culture. They also had
Hmm.
Muslims. They also know how to do tiles, much different than ours. Okay, the
Very
Portuguese
different. Very
tiles
different. Yeah.
are a lot in white and blue, gold and blue. They tell stories, not like
Yep.
ours. Ours are more geometrical.
Yep.
In Portugal, they have all of these beautiful, beautiful tiles. And in San Bento Railroad Station, which is downtown. I mean, from the cathedral, you go down and it's San Bento Station.
Hmm.
It is, to me, it's unexplainable how beautiful that train station is.
Hmm.
It's just, I mean, on the back, it's just a train station, but the entrance, when you get in, it is a beautiful, the history of Portugal
Is there.
placed in there.
Yeah.
All,
You know what happened to me the very first time I went into that station many years ago?
what?
They had told me how to get there. And if you're not familiar with the place, obviously you don't know the buildings. Of course.
Mhm.
No Google Maps then. I mean, we're talking a few years ago. So I just passed by a train station like about 3 or 4 times, just expecting a regular train station. And then suddenly I was passing by one of those structures on I think it was on my right hand side. And I just looked inside and I saw at the very end like a gap and something that could resemble like a train at the end. And I said, oh, wait a minute, is this a train station? Obviously, I just
It's
went through the hall and yes, I saw the train station. But then I realized when I looked back and I
right.
just saw the hall is
It's
never
too
in my
beautiful.
life I could have guessed this is a train station.
It is.
It's so, so beautiful. It's
It is
absolutely
superb. It's
fantastic. Oh,
and
God.
when we do tours in Porto, of course, all our local guides are going to take us to the San Vento
Hmm.
train station, and there's going to be 100 different groups watching San Vento train station.
Hmm.
But if you, when you're staying in Porto, if you're sleeping in Porto, probably you're going to be staying somewhere around that area. I always recommend go a little bit off time, not in the middle of the morning, the middle of the afternoon when there's
Yeah.
1,000 groups.
Yeah.
Go when
Go
there's
off peak
people.
times. Yeah.
There we go. Don't go on peak times when it's tourism.
Yeah.
Go when you have your free time, walk in and take a look by yourself and you see the users, people coming and commuting into the city. It's a train station that is in use. It's not, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and as tourists we have to see it, but it's a place where people use. So I
Hmm.
love Amvento train station. It's like mind
Yeah.
blowing. Uh,
And knowing you the way I know you, do you being so handy and very close, do you go to the cathedral?
you know, okay, the cathedral, it is, uh, it's on a little high. Okay, you
Yeah.
have the beautiful cathedral. On a side, you have beautiful tiles. Okay, in the little cloister. Outside, you have a beautiful cross and a balcony that overlooks the neighborhood of Gaia on the other side of the Douro River. And to me, that's a very special place. That's why I have to go with all my groups there. You have a little tile that says mile zero from the Camino de Santiago. This is the beginning of the Camino de Santiago from Porto to Santiago de
To
Compostela,
Santiago.
right
Yeah.
at the door of the cathedral, which is one of those cathedrals that is like it's up there overlooking the whole thing. It's like, oh, so beautiful. It's like, can I stay here, please? And the plaza in front of the cathedral. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's big. It's a lot of
Open
people.
space.
It's
Yeah. It's
open
beautiful.
space. It's comfortable. You have
Absolutely.
little benches somewhere around. So it's another place that, to me, Porto, it's a city that you have to see, but you have to feel. And feel this vibrancy of the people coming in and out. And it's, so I love the cathedral. The cathedral is one of the places, that area that you have to be. And if you're touring, normally what you do is you go to some Vento train station. From there, you walk nothing, 5 minutes or less to the cathedral.
The
And then from
cathedral.
the cathedral, you can scroll down all the way to the river mouth, okay,
Riverboat. Yeah.
to the promenade by the
Yeah.
river. So
Right.
it's like the perfect thing. So, and that's why it's so easy, Porto, and so comfortable to get lost, because when you
Yeah.
don't know where you are, if you go
Hmm.
down, you're going to find the river. And if you look up, you're going to see the cathedral.
Yeah.
So you locate yourself very easy in Porto. It's a city that,
I just want to ask you a couple of questions regarding the location, what you mentioned of Porto, and also Porto means the port, where in
Mhm.
the old times uh, the wine producers from the Porto, from the Douro Valley, sorry, they used to produce, and there is very, very strict regulations about the production of port wine. Okay, we
Yeah,
may talk about it a bit later, but that was originally the harbor. Now the modern harbor is outside of the city, a huge big one, but the former ones are still there with the typical ravelos, which are the name of the boats that
boats.
used to transport all the barrels from the vineyards to the cellars that they are at the mouth of the river. But that is in the other side, in the other riverbank in Gaia.
Mhm.
But let's remain a little bit in Porto because being a place where wine were produced and still is produced in massive amounts per year, obviously, what's around all that? A lot of money. And what is a thing that has a lot of money around that has to be there? A stock exchange market.
Oh,
So there is a very emblematic building over there, which is called
the stock exchange, La Bolsa.
La Bolsa. That's right. Uh,
It's how can you explain the stock exchange in Porto? Unfortunately, it's not visible every day. It's a little bit more complicated, and I've only been able to see it once, and I've
mhm.
been many times. It's, as you said, there was a lot of money, and it was a place to show off the money. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
it's that pleasure of doing things extremely beautiful. So the stock exchange is all decorated with tiles, and you have mosaics, and you have, it's beyond
Mm.
beauty. I think it's like, oh, I don't know. It's one of those buildings, or I don't want to say just building because it puts it down. Constructions that are worth visiting if you're lucky enough to have it open to the public, which is not always open.
Many people think, as I do, and I guess you do the same, that the building per se in the outside is majestic, but
Yeah,
the inside is just jaw-dropping. It's like,
yeah. It's a palace. It's like, oh, what the heck? How can
yeah,
people do such
yeah,
beauty? Yeah.
that's true. You know, one of the most exclusive restaurants, not in Oporto or Porto, but in Portugal, is there in
Where?
the inside of the Palace of La Bolsa.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is
I
it
have.
good?
Oh, yeah. On working basis, I've been there many times.
Okay, so you have eaten there,
Yeah, it's
and
excellent. It's excellent. It's worth the money. Yeah, it's worth the money. Although I've been lucky enough, as I said, it wasn't working basis with groups, small
so
groups, by
you
the
you
way.
didn't pay.
No, I mean it was included my mealing, but it was dinner. The service is exquisite. It's excellent, and yeah, it's very easy to reach down there. And Francisco, as you have been there recently more, times that I have. What about moving around when people of your tour and your on their spare time? Taxis are very reliable, aren't they?
You have taxis, you have Uber, you have Bolt,
Mm-hmm.
BOLT. So all of the taxis are super reliable. I mean, I've moved a lot of times by people with taxis up and down, and it's super, super easy, super reliable, as you say, and
Mm-hmm.
super safe. It's one of the best ways to move around, especially because you have so many narrow streets that it's like, oh, the bus
Yeah,
cannot go through.
I don't want to scare your our listeners here and your potential customers because it's not because it's dangerous. No, it's not. It's not
Oh, no,
because
no.
the distances are long. No, they're not. It's because what you just said, narrow streets that you can get easily lost, and also the city is very hilly. So
Yeah.
maybe, for some people that they're fit to move from one place to another, it could be 10 minutes walk, that's fine. But if you just, just by the end of the day that you had your city tour and you have been around showing your people places, etc., if you decide to want to one place to your hotel, from your hotel to a restaurant, you're gonna say, "Oh well, it's 5 minutes on foot, but hey, what the heck? It's gonna cost me 5, 6 euros a
Yeah.
taxi," and you
So
just
yeah,
get a
it's
taxi, right? Because it's
well,
like up and down.
up and down.
Yeah.
So one thing you just said, uh, Porto, you need to be fit. I mean, again, there's taxis that you can take you everywhere. There's one site that you need to be very, very fit to see it, which is the Tower of Clerigos. The convent of Clerigos
That's right.
is a tower. I think it's like almost 300 steps up and then
Yeah.
down, super narrow on a spiral. I mean, it's like complicated. And all the way on the top, it's mega narrow, but you have a 360 viewpoint of all the city. If you're in decent shape on your free time, I really recommend everybody to go and take it because the
Hmm.
views are, I mean, again, any time of the day is beautiful. I've done it a couple of times during sunset when you're up there. I just like, oh my God, you hear the city underneath
Yeah.
you. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's
And
beautiful.
to me, the first time I went up there, I'm like, okay, I think I'm a little bit disoriented. If that is the big bridge, that should be the cathedral, but the cathedral is on the other side. So it gives you a very good perspective to see where everything
Hmm.
is located. So the Clerigos Tower going all the way up, and you see the church, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. If you like music, to our listeners, you
Oh.
guys, there are free concerts
Yeah.
inside of the church. Okay,
Hmm.
so you can go there, check on the little info front desk, and they will give you the dates and times when they have free concerts at the Clerigos Church. You will only see the church, only, which is a beautiful church.
Hmm.
But if you pay to go all the way to the tower, you get to see the museum and you get to see all the way to the viewpoint, which is the top of the tower, which is breathtaking. There's one thing that is also breathtaking
Which
we haven't
one?
talked about. Well,
Which?
are you a Harry Potter freak?
Mm.
Ah, no, you're not. I love Harry
Oh,
Potter.
I know, I'm not, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead,
Okay, so
please.
it's
Yeah,
the Leo bookshop.
yeah.
Leo bookshop. Uh, it is where J.K. Rowling got inspired when she was in Porto, and there's a lot of it. It's it's considered to be one of the most beautiful libraries in the world.
In the world, that's right. Francisco, now there is a fee to get in.
Yes, and that's a
Yeah,
good thing, I think, because thanks for bringing that up, Jorge. Because you need to get online
yeah.
and book your slot. You're gonna find two things. You can find a regular slot, and I think they call it the golden pass.
Mm-hmm.
I always recommend, yes, spend a little bit more money. Why? Because if you buy a ticket and it's for 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you go there and there's a huge line of people for 5 o'clock. And they will let you go in and out in a specific time. You
Mm-hmm.
have to wait, although you have a ticket, you
You,
have to wait in line.
you still have
Unless,
to wear your turn, right?
there we go, you have to wait unless you have the golden ticket. If you have the golden ticket, you have paid a little bit more. You go at your time and you go in the library at your time.
So it
Okay.
is, let's say, golden tickets is still on a time frame, but you just keep the line and go through.
There we go. You go straight through. And when you buy one of those tickets, part of the ticket has the value of one book. One of the books
Oh,
they have there,
really?
you can get. They have a series of books you can get from. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the perfect souvenir. You
Yeah.
don't have to wait in line,
Mm-hmm.
and it is worth
Oh,
watching.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just go
It's
inside. It's beautiful. It's just like,
so
I mean, at the moment you get in, it's like if you're having like, in the sometimes the movie scenes that the camera goes backwards, but the screen is like is gonna eat you.
yes,
It's
it's
that
like
kind of
boof.
perspective. The story perspective is like, wait a minute, and you need to blink and focus. It's
Yes, it's
beautiful, beautiful.
that staircase going. Oh,
Mm,
oh, oh,
yeah,
oh, oh,
it's
beautiful,
fantastic.
beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it
So
is.
this
And
neighborhood of oh,
no,
go
please
ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you
So
go ahead. Finish what you're
this
saying.
neighborhood of Porto, this place where the city is, has so many, 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 many things to do. I mean, even you in the avenue. Oh gosh, Aliados. The Aliados,
Aliados.
which is
Yeah,
this city hall, you have it all the way on top.
yeah,
At the footsteps, which is like 2 minutes away
yeah.
from
That's
San
right.
Vento station, you have one of the most beautiful McDonald's in the world.
It's
I
true.
mean, I'm not saying go to
It's true.
McDonald's, but if you go to that McDonald's, it's like, is this a McDonald's? It's a building from the 1920s, and they have stained glass windows inside, and they're not allowed to touch because it's a protected building.
True.
And it is to me one of those
Yeah.
McDonald's fast food places, which is like, oh my God, that's beautiful. It's like, I don't need anything to eat, but can I just sit? Yes, you can just sit.
It is worth going to that McDonald's just for the sake of seeing it's how it is inside. As you said, because it's got nothing at all to do with any other McDonald's in the entire
Anyone
world.
in the entire world.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
So what I was gonna say before, Francisco, is that we were talking a little bit about music and some kind of free concerts that you have there in that tower, in that church. Sorry, where the tower is. Do you pass by, or it is included in your tour, or you recommend your people in their spare time to go and visit the opera house?
I recommend them to go see the Opera House, which is
Yeah.
very beautiful. Because
Or is
again,
to me is one of the most spectacular modern architecture buildings in the whole world. It's
it
beautiful.
is. It's
Do you know what it resembles?
what?
Okay, just to put our listeners in perspective, just imagine that you are in the countryside and you find a huge big stone like a pebble, and then you throw it up to the sky, and then when it drops,
It falls to the
that's what represents. It represents like a meteorite that just landed. That's why one of the sides of the Casa da Musica,
it's
that's the name of the opera house, is like wavy. The side is like wavy, but
okay.
it's the
This is
waves of like a meteorite that just landed there. So it's very irregular, the shape, a lot of glass, how do you call it, stainless steel structures, but
okay.
also obviously reinforced concrete, but covered with white tails. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, white tails. So
mhm.
the inside, they have tours inside of the Casa de Música, and you can experience. You can see they have like if I remember well, three auditoriums inside. The big one, the medium-sized one, and the rehearsal auditorium, and it's absolutely beautiful. The acoustics are fantastic. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's spectacular. It's just beautiful.
It is. I mean, it's again, we have here all the traditional buildings, beautiful, and then you have this masterpiece of modern art, which is wow,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely beautiful. Yeah,
incredible.
but we. It's not that we forgot. It's something that I just want to touch the topic with you. Porto wine. We mentioned it before. Did you go to any of the cellars?
Okay, so remember, to our audience, we have Porto and Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
Gaia, it's the neighborhood in front, and in Gaia is where all of these wineries they are settled. They have settled. Okay, so some of them they only sell wine, Porto wine, but others they have restaurants, and you can do a little bit of wine tasting, of Porto tasting. So yes, of course, we need to go. We have one of the dinners. in one of
Oh,
these
you have one dinner
wineries.
in one of the cellars.
We have in one of the wineries.
Yeah.
It depends on which one I like. Well, I don't know, Graham's, for example. It's very, very nice. The view, they have a beautiful terrace and it overlooks all the Porto. I mean, it's you have many of them. Okay, so really going into that part, it is incredible because Porto wine. You were saying, Jorge, that a lot of people says Porto wine is from Porto. No, it's not.
No,
Porto
it's not.
wine is from
No.
up the river. Right? We have
From
the
the
Douro River,
Douro Valley River. Yeah.
there we go, the Douro Valley. The thing is that from Douro Valley, they would take the wine all the way into these cellars and all of these in wineries in Porto. And from Porto, they would ship it to the world.
That's
So,
right.
but it is produced at the Douro Valley. Okay?
That's why it's called port wine because it comes from a port,
There we
which
go,
is the
because for
city of
the city of
Oporto.
Porto.
That's
Oporto.
right. Yeah.
Porto. It's so difficult for us to say Porto.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the things I love, it's taking my people all the way to the Douro Valley. It's about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half drive. The Douro Valley, you have to understand, you have this beautiful river that is the Douro. A lot of people considers the Douro River a Portuguese river. Okay, this is Spanish loops. The Douro Valley, the Douro River starts in Spain like 1,000 million miles away from
A
Porto.
thousand million miles specifically.
Give me take me two. I mean, it
Actually,
crosses.
actually, just let me be a bit more specific here, Francisco, with your
Okay,
permission. Is a fifth of the course of the river is in Portugal. The other
okay,
four parts is in Spain.
it's in Spain. So
Yeah.
for us, and all along the Douro River in Spain, we do have some amazing wine areas. Right? So in
Hmm.
Spain, we do have some
Sure.
great wine DOs,
But we don't
wine
call them
areas.
we don't call them port wine. We call them
No,
Douro
Douro,
or Ribera. Ribera,
Ribeira,
that's how we call them there.
Ribeira
But
or Douro.
is different over there
Yeah,
because the regulations, there's very specific regulations that I will let Francisco, whenever you are in his tour, just to let you know about all that because it's fascinating the history
it is.
of the port wine production.
So you need to come to Portugal to learn about it. But what I do is drive all the way to the Douro Valley. Okay? And at the beginning, you go on the freeway, blah, 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 but suddenly you get off the freeway and you start going those beautiful winding roads, going down,
Yeah,
down, down,
that's
down, down, down. And it's like
that's the thing
down,
to
down,
do.
down.
That's the thing to do.
It's the thing. And once we get all the way down, what I love to do is rent a Ravello, one of these boats,
Hmm.
and yes, all what you have seen is beautiful, but getting on a boat and doing a 1 hour cruise ship around the that area, around the Douro Valley, where you see the Douro Valley, it's a man-made. You have all of the valley or the mountains, and you
Yeah.
have terraces that have been man-made,
Hmm.
and it is millions and millions and millions of vineyards everywhere.
Yeah.
Wine, 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 wine. And I don't care if it's spring, if it's fall, if it's harvest time, every moment of the year, it is breathtaking.
Yeah.
If it's sunny, it's beautiful. If it's raining, all
It's
the water
beautiful.
shining, ah,
Mm.
beautiful. If it's a
If it is
little bit,
foggy, even if it is
if it's
foggy, it's
no,
beautiful.
it's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
the Douro Valley is magical. Yes, you have to have 2 hours and a half and of bus ride. The last half an hour, it is a little bit winding, but
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so much worth it. It's like
Absolutely. Yeah.
amazing. And from there, what I do is I go, of course, to a winery. That in Portugal they
Obviously.
call them quintas. Okay,
Yeah, they call them quintas. Yeah, that's right.
quintas. And in there, we learn about port wine, a la la. We have lunch. And one of the things that I love, we're in Portugal. In Spain, the Spanish music, it is flamenco. But in Portugal, what we have is fado.
Pados. Yeah.
And fado, a lot of people think it's a sad music, very depressing music. Gosh, no, 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 no. Remember that when we say about the tiles, we were saying that Spain's and Portuguese history is pretty much the same. in that, well, in the music, it is pretty much the same. Fado, what they say, it is some, it's a feeling that is called saudade. Saudade,
Saudade.
it's not nostalgia, it's not sadness.
It's a
It
mix of
is,
everything.
it's a mixture of everything. So to me, to make a little comparison between Spanish flamenco and Portuguese fado, I don't know if you agree with me with this, but flamenco is sung from the guts, from the stomach, from passion.
It's very visceral,
It's
very
visceral. There we go.
yeah, very
While
passionate.
passionate, while fado, it's sung from the heart, from the
Hmm.
soul. It's much
Yeah,
more tender. It's much more. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a
yeah.
hug. It's like, hey, I love you. So to me, not experiencing fado in Portugal, it's a big mistake.
Mm.
So try to have a little bit of understanding of the fado. See the two style of guitars, the Spanish guitar playing with the Portuguese guitar. It's, I don't know, it's magical. It's magical, magical, magical.
Mm.
I love the Douro Valley
I
area.
assume, Francisco, that's the same that happens with your tours, or sorry, the same that happened with my tours. It could happening with yours. Many people they decide to come either 2 or 3 days before the tour starts, or end 2 or 3 days after the tour ends. So, talking about Fado, if your people decide to go to Lisbon and then to Porto to join you in the to your tour, let me recommend here in your name something. If you're in
Yes.
Lisbon, just go to a Fado performance in Lisbon. And then, Francisco, do you have any Fado performances included in yours, or you go on your spare time?
Yes. We have it, but we have it private. So
It's
we
a
know
private. Okay,
it's a private.
you have a fado performance.
Yeah.
The fados from Lisbon to the north of Portugal. I mean, don't forget that Portugal is just the size of the state of Maine, so it's a very little country in comparison with many states in the United States or in Canada, for instance. I mean, the states in Canada are the provinces in Canada are
Right.
huge, but the so little distance and so big the difference in between the northern Portugal fados to the Lisbon to the south fados. They are totally different. Although the feeling is what you said, that kind of fate, nostalgia, singing from the heart. I'm missing you. You know, that's saudade, which is the word.
Yeah.
The spirit is there, but the style is different. Has a little
It is.
twist. It has a little twist in
It,
it.
it has something different. Yes,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. Again, it's music. It's something
Ah, yeah.
untangible,
Yeah.
but I don't know. To me, fado, it's like warms your heart. And it's like, yes, we're friends, and I love you. I love fado. So yeah, I mean, so Portugal is so rich in culture and traditions, and what would we talk about food? I
Yes,
mean,
we need to talk about food, please. Yeah,
Portuguese
what do
food.
you eat in food in Oporto?
In Porto,
Sorry.
okay, you need if you when you go to Portugal, you need to eat bacalhau, which is codfish. Right? It is said that in Portugal they have one recipe for every day of the year. Right? There's
That's what
over
they say.
365.
That's true.
Yeah, so they have over 365 different ways of eating bacalhau, codfish. So obviously in Porto, you need it's a port. You need to eat some bacalhau.
But
Right?
how is the bacalao, that codfish?
Uh,
It's not the regular codfish that everyone might have in mind.
what do you mean?
You know, it's salted
Yes, it's salted and desalted.
and then you have to desalt it.
There
So
we go.
if you eat fresh codfish, just caught, it's like any other with a special flavor, white fish. And but if you salt the bacalao, the codfish, you open it in two sides, okay, and take the bone away, and you just dry it out like in the old days they used to do, making like a lasagna with salt codfish, salt, codfish, etc., etc. So they dry it that way, and then they air them. So what you have to do to cook it, you cannot cook it that way because it's like almost, I would say, hay or
It's
sparrow.
too hard and
It's
it's
really
too
hard
salty.
and chewy. So you have to put it in water for a specific number of hours, specifically 50 hours to get it to the right point. And every 8 hours, always cold water, okay? Every 8 hours, you have to change the water. So if you have a loin of cod, like about 3 or 4 inches thick, which is the filet mignon
Yeah.
of the fishes. Okay, then when you cook it, the result of that fish meat is not as loose as if it was fresh. It's more meaty.
Yeah.
It's not
It's tender.
chewy. It's not
Well,
chewy.
no.
It is meaty, okay, and more consistent. And although, to me, is one of those very few fishes that you are allowed to drink with red wine.
Yes, because it's strong. It's just,
Yeah,
I mean, this, I mean,
it's
I
not. It's not
love
salty. It's not
bacalao.
salty. It's not
It's not
salty at
salty.
all.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
I know.
It has to be salted. I love it with vegetables. I love it just grilled. I love it with natash, with cream. I mean,
With
it's like,
cream, yeah. Just
oh,
grilled is one of my favorites. Just
it's
grilled.
one of my favorite too.
Yeah, yeah.
So the bacalao you need to eat. Then very Porto is, and it's something that we don't eat on my tour. It is the francesinha. The
Yeah.
francesinha, it's a sandwich. It's a sandwich. It's not a sandwich you're gonna eat with your hands, okay? It's a sandwich with like 3 or 4 different types of meat. It's bread, meat, bread, meat, bread, bean, bread, meat. Then they put it on a plate, on a platter. They put tomato sauce on top of it, and then grilled cheese on top of it, and they put it on the oven. Okay, so it comes to you, and you have to eat it with your knife and your fork because it's impossible to eat it normal. But the thing is that personally, I think one of those francesinhas is good enough for 2 or 3 people because it's like you
Yes,
eat one,
they are.
especially if you put a
No,
fried egg
I
on
mean,
top. Oh, it's very good.
if you eat one, you're a hero.
You're a hero. I mean, it's like the first time I went to Porto, I said, "Oh, francesinha, you have to have one." So I say, "One francesinha for myself." And the waiter, I was by myself, and the waiter was like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Basque. Come on, I can eat that." Holy cow! I was at the end, and they said, "Bring me some French fries with it." The guy was like,
Oh my goodness.
"Okay, how much do you want to
Francesinha is
pay?"
one of those things that it has become very popular and very touristy. And the last time I went there, I had not a good experience because I just ordered that in a regular place. But if you in any hotels, in any of the book guides and I mean, any places that you're going to be recommended to eat francesinhas in Oporto, just follow those directions because there is a few specific places that they do the real one and the good ones. The
Yeah,
others is just like a
yeah,
okay, it's like a wannabe, but it's not
yeah.
the same.
It's just
Right?
a tourist trap.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
So
right.
it's one of the things you need to eat is the francesinhas, and it's Portugal. If somebody from Portugal is listening right now, please cover your ears. You need to eat pastéis de natas in Porto. Yes. Why do you have to cover your ears? Because they are from Belém. Belém is right out of Lisbon,
Yeah,
but everywhere around Portugal, they know how to do pastéis de natas.
yeah,
Well,
true.
pastéis de Belém. They are the national dessert, I would say. So it's one of the things you need to have. Is a if you have never had it, if you've never been to Lisbon, have a pastéis de nata in Porto. It is one of the must-do things that you have to do.
Francisco, I'm realizing one thing right now
What?
that
What?
if any of your potential tour members are on a diet, it's gonna be the wrong place to go.
It's come on, Jorge. Is any of our tours for diet people? It's like,
No,
I mean, but the thing is that food is such an important thing of our cultures. I mean,
true. Yeah.
whenever, I mean, when I last a couple of years ago, I went to see my kid in Canada. I want to see Canadian food. When we go to the United States, what do? We want to eat things that we don't eat over here. When we
True.
go to
I
Seattle,
absolutely agree.
we want
Yeah.
to see clam chowder. We don't have clam chowder here. We want to
I
eat
love a
crab
clam chowder. Yeah.
cakes. All
But
that
mind
things that we
you,
don't
in Seattle, North
in
Seattle, once
Seattle.
you forced me to go to Spanish restaurant.
Okay, let's talk about the weather.
It
It was a
was
compromise. We
it was
had
no,
to.
but
It
it
was
was
very
pretty
good.
good. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
But
Okay,
anyway,
Francisco, how long is your tour staying in Oporto?
so we stayed 3 nights in
3 nights.
Porto.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3 nights. The first night we do an introduction, we do a city tour. The second day, what we do is we go out of the city to walk on the Camino de Santiago by the coast, which is a beautiful promenade. You get to see
Mm-hmm.
all the ocean. It's incredible. And you finish in the next town. You come back all the afternoon on your own. The next day we go to the Douro Valley. Okay, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of things to do. Okay, and it's, you come back in the afternoon, you have an afternoon part of the afternoon for yourself. So we
Hmm.
say 3 nights in Porto, and then we jump into Spain, 2 nights in Calvados, and then 3 nights in Santiago de Compostela.
Oh,
It's a
that sounds
beautiful, beautiful tour. That
sounds
for
beautiful.
2026, by the way, I've been doing it in May,
Yeah.
in the spring. Now I want to have, because some people have said, hey, could you please do 1 year in the fall? So
The
for
fall.
2026, I'm going to do it in the fall, which I'm
All
super happy about.
right. Okay. So, guys, keep an eye
Um,
on Francisco's website, which is travelingsteps.es, because very soon he's going to have it posted there in the, if not yet. So just book your seat. How many seats are in your tour,
so
approximately?
maximum is between 15 is the sweet spot. We
Yeah.
can go from 13 to 18. So, but
Okay.
15 is like the
Is
perfect spot.
the sweet thing, right?
Yeah, the sweet spot. That's what
Perfect.
I would say. It's the
Perfect.
perfect number. If we
Mm-hmm.
have 18, it's okay. But
Okay.
over 18, I don't do it. And under 13 is not profitable. So I
Right.
cannot go.
Okay.
The thing is that always
I
trying to
mean,
match
we are
prices. And
here. We are here to share our emotions with people, but also we are here to work. Let's be honest.
there
Okay.
we go.
Yeah. But
So
it,
hopefully
it is an experience. It's an
it's an
experience.
experience.
Yeah.
Really,
Experience.
Portugal is beautiful. The city of Porto is breathtaking. It's a
Hmm.
great introduction to the country. So, as you said, thank you, Jorge, very much. If somebody wants to join my tour, travelandsteps.es, or
That's
send
all
me a
right.
DM or a WhatsApp or whatever, and we can start getting in touch.
Great.
And that's pretty
And
much it.
guys, and if you want to get in touch with us, I mean, Francisco has his own email in his webpage, but if you want to get in touch with us regarding Spanish loops, if you've been down there in the city of Porto in the past and you want to share some photos or some experiences about what we have talked here, the food, the bacalao, the francesinhas, etc., please be welcome to send us an email to spanishloops@gmail.com. And Francisco, thank you very much for enlightening
Thank
us
you.
today. Okay.
Thank you so much. And yes, I do have this tour, but Jorge also has other tours on his website,
Yeah,
which
but
is
today is your
traveling.
tour. We'll talk
Yeah,
next
but if
week
somebody
about
wants to check
another.
yours, it's travelingwithjorge.com.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, what else? Our dear friends, if you have enjoyed this podcast this week, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. Give us a thumb up if you enjoyed it, and please share this podcast with all your friends. It helps immensely.
It does.
Everybody, thank you very much. We love you, and we are going to see you next week. Jorge, thank you so, so much.
Thank you and everybody
Adios,
else.
amigos.
Adios. Bye.
Adios.
And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our talks. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast, no spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.